The following is a fan-based video review under fair use. Super 8 is owned by Paramount Pictures, Amblim Entertainment, Bad Robot, Steven Spielberg, and J.J. Abrams. Please support the official release. What's up? It's BigJackFilms here, and welcome to another review. Oh, God! Brightness on this! Oh! Brother! Oh! Whew. Sorry there, folks. I'm, trying a set of new lights for my studio here. Kind of reminds me of a J.J. Abrams movie. You know, it's funny to think I haven't talked about the guy yet, have I? Yeah, what could be said about this genius savior of motion pictures? He's practically the Steven Spielberg of this generation. And how appropriate, since Steven was one of the reasons JJ is in the business today. Having been a fan of the master's work, JJ started making movies at a young age with his friends with an old format known as Super 8mm film. Ask your grandparents, kids. Or watch this. Eventually, JJ made his way into the business with some pretty good hits to his production company, Bad Robot. Before Star Wars The Force Awakens, JJ was mostly famous for his work on Lost, Cloverfield, and of course the reboot of the Star Trek franchise.
Why the fuck would he do that?
But in 2011, JJ made a film that brought him back to his childhood and, quite frankly, is a loving tribute to the classic golden age of Steven Spielberg movies of the late 70s and early 80s. It's filled with heroic kids, a movie within a movie, and an alien to mix it all up. So let's have a close encounter with this extraterrestrial of a film. This is the J.J. Abrams Steven Spielberg masterpiece simply known as Super 8. So the plot of Super 8 tells the story of a young boy, played by Joel Courtney, who is struggling with depression after the tragic death of his mother due to a work accident, which in of itself is an interesting mystery. To escape his sadness, he's currently making a B-monster movie for his friends, all of which are the classic kid group stereotypes. The pudgy director, the skinny geek, Dakota Fanning's sister, and I swear to God, a child version of Michael Bay.
Asshole! Could you stop blowing shit up for 2 seconds and deal with the camera?
While filming a scene at a local train station, there's a sudden explosion and the train crashes into the scene. Holy shit! I was just kidding about this kid being the young version of Michael Bay. I didn't expect you to take it so seriously!
Guys, did you see those explosions? That was unbelievable!
But something strange lurks inside the train, and whatever it is, escapes and wreaks havoc across the town.
You know what this feels like to me? This feels like a Russian invasion.
The strange thing will swallow you whole. I'll catch him, and I'll film him. $10,000 from me by myself. For that you get the film, the camera, the whole damn thing. But once the US government shows up, the kids feel that something is amiss. So working together, they decide to find this thing that's plaguing their town and stop it before it can cause more damage. So you're all probably wondering, what's my take on this glorious tribute to the golden age of Steven Spielberg? Well, in my opinion, this movie is sadly overrated and is a wonderful piece of work. And there's a couple of reasons why, but I'll start at the beginning. First off, after the success of Abrams' produced Cloverfield, many people asked for a sequel. Hell, some wanted a crossover between the monster from that movie and Godzilla, which we kinda got on both fields. But at the time and to this day, JJ is very quiet about his projects, and it's always a great surprise when he turns out his products, especially with the strategy he has known to some as the mystery box.
Or you can trade it all in for what's in this box.
The box! The box!
And during the shoot of Super 8, a lot of people in the public had the idea that they were indeed filming a sequel to Cloverfield, especially with all the military tanks and destruction surrounding the locations. But once the first teaser trailer was released, showing off the train explosion and also revealing the title, people were still a little confused about what it was that JJ was making. Given the look of the teaser and the title itself, people still thought it was a Cloverfield-related film and assumed it was a prequel, which was not the case at all. Seriously, the mystery hype on this movie was so vague you could confuse it with the Gabbo ads from The Simpsons. Gabbo, Gabbo, Gabbo!
Did you see that?
Yeah.
Man, 2 Simpsons clips in the span of a few seconds? That's kinda odd. But then on March 14th, 2011, the second trailer dropped for the film, and this time, things were a lot more interesting. Having heard finally from JJ himself that the movie would be a tribute to the E.T. and Close Encounter days of Steven Spielberg, and not to mention the film was produced by him and Spielberg's company Amblim Entertainment, I saw the trailer and I was, by all accounts, blown away. In fact, I'd say the trailer itself is one of the best trailers ever made. Yeah, seriously, it really got me hooked on the movie itself with its magic and wonder. It felt almost like a sequel to E.T. Hell, it was the E.T. for this generation, and I could not be happier. Since films like E.T. have sort of been forgotten nowadays, the trailer had me hyped and really wanting to know what the hell this thing was that everyone was hunting for. It's definitely what JJ is best at. As for the film itself, well, I gotta say it's definitely a great movie and was worthy of the hype it had at the time, and I'll even say it's one of JJ's best films to date, with its fantastic Spielberg-esque cinematography, great special effects, and not to mention some great characters. The kids are by far the show stealers of the film. They are by all accounts the best child actors I've seen in a long-ass time, and I gotta give them major props for their incredible talent. Joe's character is a real tragic one. While he enjoys the comfort of his friends, he is a real lonely boy due to the death of his mother and eventually learns to let it go and lead his friends through the journey. So kudos to Joel Courtney for pulling off a very tough part for someone his age.
That's mint. Really? You're a total brain. We gotta go get the camera fixed and the film developed from last night. Okay, I'm gonna go steal some money from my mom.
Alice? No, Treasure Cat. Alice, fuck it, Ellie Fanning also does a fantastic job with her character. Without giving too much away, she also struggles with a lot of her personal battles, but also manages to hold her own, and Ellie's acting is superb here. God, every time she sheds a tear, you really feel for her character. Honestly, Ellie is kind of underrated, and I hope Hollywood gives her some much-deserved attention in the business.
Was that good?
Yeah, that was great.
And while the other kids do hold their own, it's honestly the character of Charles, played by Riley Griffiths, who steals the show. I frickin' love this character. He's extremely enthusiastic with his directing skills and at times reminds me of Carl Denham from the King Kong movies. Hell, in some regards reminds me of myself as an eccentric young filmmaker who finds the perfect production values.
Production value! Carrie, you put film in the camera, right? I didn't put it in. What?
And yes, speaking of King Kong, I do know that Kyle Chandler is in this movie as the chief of police in the town, and in some ways is a tribute to Chief Brody from Jaws. And in terms of his character, he did a fine job as well. But I do doubt him working with Charles in his movies, given what happened to the last time he worked with a film director.
Coming through!
Kyle Chandler, much like Ellie Fanning, is an underrated actor, and a lot of the cast do deserve much more roles nowadays. So this movie may remind you of such films such as E.T. and The Goonies. Well, to be frank, that's kind of the point. Like I said, the movie is definitely a tribute to Spielberg films of the past, and it really shows from the way the movie is shot, to its suspense and wonder, and the setting taking place in the late 70s and early 80s. JJ and the production crew really did their homework in recreating this lost genre of movies from that period, and let me tell you, that's something we desperately need nowadays. Most big movies of this age are action-packed, violent, exploding, dark and gritty pieces of cinema, and this movie brings back the magic and wonder of how movies are made, and why we should appreciate the films of the past rather than just remake the same tiring goddamn thing. Hell, nowadays we're getting sequels to 20-year-old movies. Dr. Sleep, Top Gun Maverick, Robert the Bruce, Gladiator 2 is in the works. Halloween 2018 goes the Godzilla reboot route by ignoring all the previous installments except for the original. Come to think of it, where the hell is my reboot sequel to Jaws? I would definitely go for a 5th Jaws movie with Richard Dreyfuss back, but maybe someday I'll talk about that in greater detail. The music also plays a good role in the film, which in this movie was done by Michael Galantis. God damn it, I still can't pronounce Michael's last name. Hang on, let me ask a neighbor for some help on this.
Don't move, okay? My heart. Yeah, mine too. It's beating incredibly fast right now.
Hey, Skune, do you know how to pronounce... Oh, never mind then. Okay, Skune, look at your rubbers. Awkward. Hey, Timber, at least it wasn't mocha.
What's going on?
Nothing, honey! Go back to your coffin! Sunset isn't for another hour! Anyway, the music at times is okay, but I do feel it needs that flavor that only the likes of John Williams or the late James Horner could provide. Hell, for the trailer they used James Horner's track from Cocoon, which definitely gave the feeling of a Spielberg movie. Also to note, the special effects are a real showstopper. While the majority of it is CGI, JJ manages to hide it in some areas by shading shots in the dark or on shaky cam. I also gotta comment on some of the hidden gems in the movie, most notably in the kids' room. There's so much to look at in terms of the toys, posters, and models from other movies. Even if you think it can be a little bit of a bore waiting for what this thing is, you gotta admire the way the film was set and shot. Speaking of which, you might be wondering what my opinion is on this so-called thing causing ruckus around the town. Well, to be perfectly honest, I'm not gonna say what it is. As you guys may know, I can be one to give out major, if not minor, spoilers in some of my reviews. But with this film, I can't, because it would take away a lot of the suspense, wonder, and not to mention the mystery of the film. And for those new to the Spielberg game and have not seen many of these types of movies, it's something I wish not to spoil. But I will say it's definitely way far off from being anticlimactic.
Have to help Charles finish his movie.
So while this movie is a great homage to Spielberg, aka the Walt Disney of Hollywood from the 80s to the present, is there anything in the film that doesn't really fit? Well, there are a few minor nitpicks here and there that don't affect the film, but are still worth mentioning. I will say that while the score is okay at best and the movie is enjoyable, there are some elements that go a little overboard with the Spielberg tropes and are at times a little predictable. Hell, in some respects, if they had gotten John Williams to do the score and add the same magic as he did for E.T., I think the film would have held up a little bit better for today's audience. As well, being a filmmaker, the plot of the kids making the movie does unfortunately come to a halt to focus more on the mystery of the town, and there's times you really want to see more of the kids making the movie, rather than the plot of the actual film.
That was mint.
But thankfully, JJ doesn't disappoint, as we do see the kids' final project during the end credits, and the film they made in the movie is in itself a great little piece of entertainment. Being a big fan of old Super 8 monster movies, this little gem is a wonderful tribute to that era of young filmmakers.
It's been a Charles Kasnick production. We had such a fun time filming this movie.
Overall, I would definitely say give Super 8 a watch. While it wasn't a major success like of E.T. in the 80s, it's still worth finding on DVD, Blu-ray, or Netflix. Hell, in some areas, it's a great family film on par with the movies of the past that it was paying tribute to. And in my opinion, this movie actually inspired later films like the recent It reboot and Stranger Things. And if you're a fan of those type of movies, this film is definitely worth a second look. With some great cinematography, some edgy special effects, a fantastic mystery, some great child actors, and a movie within a movie that's tempting to see, it's a great piece and respects and relives the magic of the golden age of Steven Spielberg, and in my books is one of J.J. Abrams' best movies. A solid good 9 out of 10. If you were to say that Close Encounters, E.T., and War of the Worlds are defined as the Steven Spielberg Alien trilogy, this film is very much a spin-off, but still is as good as those three. Definitely worth cranking up the old 8mm film projector for a good watch under the stars. Well guys, that's all I gotta say about Super 8. But overall, what are your thoughts on the film? If you've seen it, or afterwards viewing it post this review, let me know in the comments section below. As well as your favorite Steven Spielberg or J.J. Abrams film. So until the next video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys later. This is BigJackFilms signing... Hey, what the hell?
Your skills have improved immensely.
Is this a dream?
It is, if you wish it to be.
I have not had such visions for a long time. Not since you disappeared.
Yet, you still wander the worlds of time, hoping to find some remedy of my former self.
I never stopped looking for you. Is this a sign?
What does your heart tell you?
Strange. Since obtaining my true power from the battle with Cell, it seems I'm less stressed. Yet, something is missing. A presence I haven't felt since... Do you still wander the world? Priestess.